speaking of NFL, that is where we are going. And Rob, Jimmy G signed. Aaron Rodgers apparently on his way to the Jets. Derek Carr signed with New Orleans. That was last week. One quarterback, really the best of the bunch. Let's just keep it real, who's somewhat available. Lamar Jackson not signed. No one chasing him at this moment. And Jeremy Fowler, reporter on the NFL for ESPN, he said this, Rob. I don't expect him to sign the franchise tag, meaning Lamar. I don't expect teams to make offers here soon. And I've talked to multiple teams that predict that no team will make an offer. Let me ask you this, because as you said, it only takes one. Maybe teams are bluffing. Who knows? But do you think if he doesn't get an offer, we both thought he should have held out last year. Do you think he should hold out or sign that franchise tag? Remember, it's the non-exclusive, so it's only $32.5 million versus $45 million that it would have been on the exclusive. And to add to that, Rob, next year, you know how it goes up dramatically, like your second year, the franchise tag, if they were to franchise him twice, it would only be $38 million, whereas the exclusive tag would have been like $55 million. So what are your thoughts?
I still believe someone's going to make an offer. I'll be surprised. I mean, he's one of those difference makers, and I don't know. I mean, it does feel weird that we're here where we are at this point, and maybe people are just scared by the demands, or at least what's being reported. I think that's
a big part of it.
Yeah, of what's being reported. Not his health, not whether or not he can make a difference or whether he can pass the ball. I really don't believe. I think it's the money more than anything.
I think in addition to that,
but I'm not mad at him.
Thoughts.
Huh?
Oh, I didn't mad at him.
No. I'm saying I'm not mad at him for wanting what he wants, is what I'm saying. It's like I'm not mad at that. Like at some point you have to be able to say, hey, I'm worth this. This is what you're giving other people. They got all kinds of other issues and baggage, and they haven't excelled as much as I have, and they haven't done anything close to what I've done, and they got paid. I want to be paid and compensated in that ilk. And I think whether the Deshaun Watson deal is an outlier or not, somebody was willing to give this guy who hadn't won anything, Chris, to this point. Is a very good player. Don't get me wrong. I'm not knocking his talent. And had 45 bags with him. You know what I mean? I mean, he's carrying baggage. And yet he got what Deshaun Watson looks at and says is something that I'm looking for. So it might be he might be in for a battle. This will be interesting, but I'm not of the ilk that nothing can happen. Things can change quickly, and you never know. Maybe they talk to somebody. I thought Randy Mueller a couple of weeks ago, Chris. I thought his answer was really good. I keep mentioning it because I thought it was good. And maybe there's no 5-year fully guaranteed contract. It's maybe 3 years. You know what I mean? At $50 million, and then you talk to Lamar and say, if you play well, you're going to be able to cash out. You know what I mean? And you're still young and get another contract, and it could be of that ilk. This way, he saves face. The organization can give him a fully guaranteed, but it's just not as long as maybe he wants. So I think that's possibly could be in play.
I think there's a few things. I do think that there are several reasons why he hasn't gotten an offer yet, and some of the reporting is saying he won't. I think one is, as you said, the demands. I definitely think that the majority, if not all of the owners, other than Jimmy Haslam in Cleveland, are philosophically, like, they know if he gets a fully guaranteed deal, that will become the norm for quarterbacks. And I would love to see it become the norm personally. but I don't think owners want to see that. So I think that's part of it. I do think there are some concerns about the health. And he wasn't hurt running. He was hurt in the pocket. But I think there's still concerns about his health because he's a smaller guy, and he does run it a lot. And so I think those are factors. And I think teams understand you have to run a unique offense with him, and so you really have to change things up. But I think I do agree with you, Rob. Like, if I'm Lamar Jackson at this moment, the first thing I'm doing is, if I and my mom and, we got the Players Association helping out, I'm going
sure there's
an
attorney helping out as well.
Yeah,
I don't want to think
that's one thing the Players Associations do.
Yeah.
But I would go to the Ravens, and as you said, and this is, Randy Mueller. Okay, you were willing to give me $133 million guaranteed.
Make it $150.
Let's do a 3-year, or at this point, dude, I don't care if they make it.
I'm just saying, Chris, right? You're going to give me that. Let's make it 3 years.
Right, we can do 3 years, 150. Give me 133 guaranteed. Or, if he's stuck on the full guarantee, which I guess he is, 150 guaranteed.
That's it. That's what I'm saying. And then you got what you want. I have what I want.
133 would all essentially be 45 a year.
Exactly. And then Chris, after that, I can go head on if you know what I mean. You don't want to re-sign me, but he's young enough to get another deal.
That'll give them, for those, if they have concerns about his health, about how long he's going to be able to last, a short-term deal, benefits them. And to your point, he could do that deal. If they won't go for that, Rob, if they're like, a 133, that was for 5 years, and blah, blah.
But that's guaranteed.
Think,
that's the only guaranteed. It was more. The deal's worth more than that, right?
Right, but I'm just saying, if I agree with you, I think that's what he should do, number one. If that doesn't move them, I think Robbie should hire an agent.
Okay.
Because you know how agents work. They will be talking with other teams. And I know he can do it too after Wednesday, but come on. If you're a player, it's hard to be out there talking with all these teams. You know what I mean? Like, that's not what you do. That's not, that's not your expertise. So it's one thing to negotiate as a player with your own team. It's another to be out there, talking to other teams and, knowing who, like, agents do that. They'll know what guys want. They got other guys that they can leverage. I don't mean in a negative way, but, they scratch each other's back at times, right? And so I just think that if he's facing this type of situation where no teams, and I'm just going off the reporting, where no teams are looking to really, make him an offer, I think he's got to get an agent to be talking to these teams so that, maybe they can work something out. As far as the franchise tag, that's a tough one. It did work out for Deshaun, Rob. Remember, Deshaun sat out. Like, he had the guaranteed contract already, or not, not the one from Houston. And he sat out, which we both thought was kind of crazy. But it did work out for him. He got exactly what he wanted and then some. He got out of there, but he got a better contract.
But it didn't look like anything was going to happen, and then here comes Cleveland.
And I don't know if that would necessarily work. I don't know. Maybe there would be a team to come out, and you would think over time, right, Rob, some team that is good, they got a good quarterback, he gets hurt, or a team that, you just might find yourself more desperate than you realized. Or, Rob, maybe if he doesn't sign, Baltimore is not going to be any good if he doesn't sign. Right? Like, are they ready to struggle? Are they ready to just be a bad team? And so that's his leverage.
That's a good question, Chris. That's
because that's what it's going to be. And so I also think playing on this franchise tag, like I said, man, it's different than playing on the big one, Rob. That, if I'm going to get $45 million this year, maybe $55 next year, And look, I'm not sneezing at $32 million, but it's a huge
it's different.
difference.
It's a difference. I mean, it's a difference between a $50 bill and 2 20s, you know, or a 20 and a 10. I mean, let's just be honest.
Right.
So yeah, but I think that there is a meeting way. I don't know why. I think, like I said, Randy brought it up, Chris. It makes sense to me. Like if you're ready to commit 132 or whatever the number is, what was it, 130?
133.
133. If you're going to give them that,
it was 5 years, like 250 with 133 million guaranteed.
Split the difference. Just say, here's 150, 3 years. After that, well, if you play great or whatever and you want to stay here, we'll re-sign you or whatever. You're still a young man. How old is he? 26, 25? How old is he?
26, I think.
26, Chris? He would still
really
be under
hope
30.
He's not hung up on, well, I got to get 250, or I got to get more than Watson. That's fine to feel that way, but somebody has to give it to you. And like you said, so give me the 3 years, fully guaranteed. You know, so we'll see. Hopefully it works out for him. He is 26. Yep.